I'd like to set a foundation for what's to come. The next number of videos, I want to get really practical about dating advice. But this video is really important. This is like the foundations. Why? Because it's not about, and I've seen so many programs now on, advertise through Instagram or Facebook or this and that, the one secret to make yourself irresistible and all these tips, tricks, hacks. No. I want to give you a real, serious, tried, tested, true foundation. I want you to understand why these things work, and I want to give that to you so you know where I'm coming from when I talk about what I'm going to be talking about next. But if you've watched any of my other videos, if you've heard any of the podcasts I've been on, you're going to hear heard, respected, valued. That for me is, a stool needs 3 legs. You need something, you need at least 3 legs to be stable. Heard, respected, valued. That is the foundation. And it's amazing. And this isn't just for relationships. This is for colleagues, employees. This is for friends. This is for whoever. Heard, respected, valued. So you're going to hear that a lot. Just so as you know. All right. We know the old rules don't work. 1950, end of World War II, soldiers come back. We start getting kind of the nuclear family thing, and we get to this role of men are the breadwinners, and they marry a lovely woman, and they have 2.5 children and a house with a white picket fence, and that's the American way, or that's the ideal, right? And this ideal has been marketed and sold around the world, but especially in North America. Okay. Until about the 1980s, women's careers were limited. It was secretary, nurse, or school teacher. And not that I agree with that, but that's kind of how it went. Okay, got that. Again, 1980s, the kind of the mid-80s and whatnot, it started to slope up, and women started taking on other careers and more careers, and then it's gone exponentially. It's an exponential curve. Just go right. Okay, good. I love equality. I really do. I am 100% for equality. I'm all about it. But the pendulum has begun to swing the other way. Now, women are graduating college at unprecedented rates. They have more degrees. The median wage worker, the median wage for women in any particular industry is higher than it is for men in the same industry because men's wages have stagnated. I could talk a lot more about this, but I won't, because you know what? There's somebody who does it so much better. Check out Robert Reich and his UC Berkeley class. It's available on his YouTube channel. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You can read Richard Reeves of Boys and Men. He goes into this. But what we are seeing is men, by and large, especially younger men, but this is somewhat across the board, we are absolutely seeing that men are engaging in less relationships, and we are worse off for it. We are also engaging less in the workforce because so much of the focus has been about everyone but men. Doesn't matter, regardless of race, right? Whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Latino, anything. If you're men, we tend to put less focus. We've taken the focus off. Men are fine. Men are doing their own thing. Well, men are doing their own thing. Yes, but the problem with men doing their own thing right now is men are not being heard. They are not, because we are told not. We are told to be vulnerable, but don't explore your feelings, or explore your feelings, but they're not interested. And I swear, I think the quote that hit me was, I was listening to a lecture, or I was listening to an interview where the woman, and goodness, if I could only remember, she gave a TED talk, and a man went up to her afterwards. No, it was a book signing. And a man went up to her afterwards with his wife and his 2 daughters, and they got the book signed. And he said, he goes, I thank you for the work you're doing. He goes, but why don't you talk about men? And she goes, well, I don't interview men. And he goes, you know what's interesting? He goes, my 2 daughters and my wife, and yes, I am absolutely for their being empowered. But if I were to follow what went on in your book, if I were to follow your advice in your book, I wouldn't be respected. They would rather see me die on my sword than show weakness. And I think that is a sentiment that that resonates with a lot of men. Why? Because that's what we're told. That's what we're trained that way. But anyway, I've talked about men. I've talked about, strength being from in here and not from out there, but that side. Anyway, so all of this to say that she started looking at men from then on. And the conversation is starting to come around. Starting to. And this is the important part, because what's being done right now in academia, in medicine, in a lot of fields where we talk about men, we go, no, because then we're taking the attention. It's summed as a zero. It's framed as a zero-sum game, and it's not. It's not that if we start giving attention to men, we are taking it away from somewhere else, from women, from minorities, from, that's not the case. But it's being framed that way. It's being set that way. And there are a lot of people who started looking at this issue, and even Richard Reeves talks about in certain interviews where he says, I wasn't certain that I should even write this book. I was advised against it. So this is something that's prevalent. It's there. All of this to say that the man's role has drastically changed, and we are now at a point where we are at a disadvantage from so many different viewpoints, and especially when it comes to dating, because women, the average median income for women is higher than it is for men. Women are starting to own their own homes. The marriage has become a capstone of a capstone show of success, rather than a necessity of survival, of economic survival, or of. So how does a man become high value in this crazy dating market? Because at one time we would go to parties, or we would go to the bar, or we would go to the club, and we would meet people, or we would have these chance encounters because we would meet with friends. Well, we don't meet with friends. And especially after the pandemic, we stay home. We don't go to bars to look for mates. And people who do are looking at hookup culture, because that's become a thing. Okay, I'm not bashing on hookup culture. Well, I could bash on hookup culture, but I won't in this video. What I will say is that now we've gotten to a point where, as a man, what is appropriate to say? What is inappropriate to say? How far can we go? How far can't we go? Is a nice gesture something that could be construed the wrong way, especially after the Me Too movement? Well, with the Me Too movement, So all of this, the thing that I found successful, that has worked for me and for others, is to become what is now currently the buzzword is high value. How? How do we become high value? Heard, respected, valued. How do you stand out? Heard, respected, valued. If you're somebody who shows up honestly and authentically, it's not about your paycheck. Yes, appearance plays a certain role, but when I was in elementary school and high school, funny kept you from getting your ass kicked. Well, funny goes a long way when it comes to dating. Personality goes a long way. And if you want to know more about that, check out the video on being nice. Nice is not good enough, because nice basically means you're not an asshole. And that's all it means. You have to have personality. You have to be able to stand out as somebody who is interesting, somebody who isn't just, women don't want to be a golf widow. If you're into golfing, you want to make sure that if you want to share that, that's great. That's 100%. But if that's all you can talk about, if that's all you do is, you know, work, go home, watch golf, and that's it, it doesn't make for a very interesting person. So it's about diversifying. It's about listening. It's about learning. It's about being open to new things. It's about hearing them, respecting them, and valuing them, and messaging. When you're in a dating app, messaging as such. Wanting to know more about this photo or that profile aspect, something they mentioned, because you want to know that you are listening, that you're interested, that they are respected beyond the hookup, beyond the appearance, beyond, because a message like "you're pretty" isn't going to get you anywhere. It'll barely get you a blush behind the screen. So, heard, respected, and valued, if you know. And we'll talk more about that as well, and talk about being interesting. But I wanted to give you that foundation for what's to come next. For those of you who want to skip ahead, or who want to know what comes next, or any of that, you can reach me. Hi, I'm Richard Struther. I am the Widower's Wingman. You can reach me at thewidowerswingman.com. And there you can book a free call. It says 45 minutes. We'll take the time we need to take to do the thing right. And this is not a sales call. I want to meet you. I want to get to know you. I want to know where you're at and what resources do you need? Where are you at in your journey? What do you need? It's not a sales call. This is something where I really do want to help people. Like and subscribe if you want. If you want to hear more about this stuff, you can also check out the media page on thewidowerswingman.com. There are multiple podcasts that you can hear much more about all of this stuff if you're more interested in something, you know, kind of in one bundle. If you know somebody for whom this would be useful, please let them know about it. Share it. It's not useful unless it gets into the hands of the people who need to hear it. And I will see you guys in the next video if I don't get the privilege of meeting you first on one of the calls.